All right, so today what I want to talk to you guys about is why taking your fasting blood glucose is pretty important to measure. So, Jacob, as you have seen as compared to the challenge check-in call or check-in form to the one-on-one check-in form, I need your fasted blood glucose. A lot of people are hesitant to do this, and I think it's just because of the little needle prick, I guess. Again, it's just one time a week. A lot of people like to give the excuse of, oh, well, I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't need to check this. Well, you have a heart, you have blood in your body, you have an insulin response. So yes, you do need to check this. So um, essentially, a lot of people don't even know what the word fasted means. And that's honestly been surprising. But fasting blood glucose obviously means it refers to the level of glucose, sugar, that's in your bloodstream after a period of time of not eating or drinking anything. Typically, it's 8-ish hours. If you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you should be good to go fasted at 6 o'clock, right? That's like the minimal fast time. It's typically going to be measured before breakfast, before any kind of food or anything. Now, the best way to do this, and like I've outlined, inside of the check-in form, is you'll wake up in the morning on your check-in day. You'll use the bathroom. You'll step on the scale. You'll enter that weight there, right? And then from there, you'll drink 16 to 32 ounces of room of it's preferred like room temperature water. Um, Nothing like, ice cold, nothing like that. I don't think it really matters that much, but I have heard that it can skew the results a little bit. Um, Drink the water, wait 15 minutes. That's going to give you a little bit of a cortisol dump. And then from there, you'll prick your finger, you'll wipe the first two drops of blood away, and then you'll read the third. And it was funny. I was at the blood connection last week, doing my monthly, blood donation or whatever, and she was, obviously checking. She pricked my finger and she wiped, the first two drops of blood away, and she read the third. I didn't get that from them. I actually got that from John Meadows, Mountain Dog. He died a few years ago. A pretty, popular bodybuilder. He said that's the way that he has his clients do it, and ever since then, um, I've done it that way, and it makes sense because all that blood, it's just if you prick your finger and you take the first drop, that blood has been in the very tips of your fingers for a while, right? So if you prick it, squeeze it, wipe one drop, squeeze it, wipe another drop. That third drop is normally pretty fresh blood, right? And so, this test is commonly used to assess blood sugar levels and screen for conditions such as like prediabetes or, God forbid, diabetes, right? Now, in a normal, healthy, functioning human being, normal fasting blood glucose levels are going to fall within a certain range, right? And I always tell you guys, really anything under 100 milligrams per deciliter is the norm, right? I would like to say in between a 70 or 80 is like that sweet spot, right? That's where I like, my guys to be. That's a really good spot to be. Um, Anything over 100 to 125, that's kind of that gray area of, okay, you're on the fence. You need to figure something out. Or if you get over 100 and, 26, that's where that could be an indication that you just, develop type 2 diabetes. Um, and it's not it's not like a one-off test as like if you test that one time and you're like 126 that you're just automatically pre-diabetic. I think what the protocol is it's like, and I could be totally wrong on this, but it's like 5 to 7 ish days. Like if you wake up and you test it and it's over 100 and 25 and you've done everything normal, the food's normal, the sleep's normal, the stress is normal, all that's normal, and you're over that, you probably could either A, go see a doctor or try something drastic to try to get that number down. Now, a lot of people think that there's like one cause of this fasting blood glucose to, um, go. Let's see. All right. So there's normally, like I said, people think that it's just carbohydrates that spike that up, right? And that is a little bit of it, but there are several things that can make that number go up. Um, number one is obviously insulin resistance. When your body's cells become resistant to the effects of insulin, which is the hormone responsible for regulating blood sugar levels within the body, glucose is unable to enter those cells efficiently. And when this happens, they can't get into the cells. This leaves just an enormous amount of extra glucose in the bloodstream, which is why that number goes up and up and up. Um, this is why, if you have poor insulin sensitivity, um, that number is going to be higher just because that glucose can't get inside of the cell. Now, number two is a poor diet. Obviously a diet that is tailored off of highly refined carbohydrates, that is obviously going to spike that way up. Sugars, unhealthy fats, these will also lead to spikes in blood glucose levels as well too. And over time, this could revert back to number one, which is increased insulin resistance, and then again higher fasting blood glucose levels. Um, Obviously, lack of any kind of exercise, any kind of physical activity, regular exercise is going to help improve that insulin sensitivity, and allow the body to better utilize the glucose for energy instead of it being converted into glycogen, which is stored glucose. Um, that's why that I tell people after a meal, if you can get up and go for a 10 minute walk, it's going to start that process. It's going to keep the food moving. It's going to help that insulin resistance, improve instead of you just eating a big meal and then plopping down on the couch and doing nothing for hours, or just plopping back down at your desk doing nothing. I mean, I do like Dave does all the time. I get on my walking pad and I'll eat a meal, get on the walking pad and just walk and type and read and everything. And I get steps in just like it's nobody's business. And it truly does help a lot. Now, one thing a lot of people don't think about is stress. Chronic stress can trigger the release of a stress hormone called cortisol, which will raise blood sugar levels. And prolonged stress will contribute to insulin resistance and disrupt blood glucose regulation. So, again, if you're overly stressed, if you're chronically stressed just all the time, that's going to go up. And that's why that I try to tell everybody just control what you can control, mitigate the stressors that you can mitigate. Because at the end of the day, some things are just out of our hands, right? And we just have to do what we can do and not let it get to us. Um, I'm not trying to be some, mindset coach, or lifestyle coach kind of thing, but I have to remind myself that daily. If I get overly stressed out about something, I'm like, look, you have to control what you can control. I can't help that somebody cut me off in traffic, right? There's nothing that I can do. So just, let it go. It's fine. There's no need in me raising my, stress levels and messing up my own, physical activity of what I have going on just for that idiot who cut me off, right? And then, some of the lesser known things is like, medications. Certain medications, such as like, corticosteroids, antipsychotics, and some diuretics can actually affect that blood sugar level as well. This is not really a big concern for a lot of people, but it is, it is a cause. Um, Sleep is another one. Now, sleep could be kind of looped into the stress category as well too. When you have lower sleep, your body just sees that as a stress response. And again, higher stress, higher cortisol, higher insulin resistance. It's just not good, across the way, right? I mean, at like if you're on like a normal sleep schedule, right? Your body has a natural response at like 2 or 3 a.m. that cortisol is going to spike way up, and then it's going to start to trend down. That's why that you might a lot of times I wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. just for no rhyme or reason, and that's the reason. And then five or probably 3 or 4 hours later, on that little trickle down effect, that's when your body will naturally just wake up. That helps you wake up in the morning. Um, It's not the only thing, but it helps you, kind of get your day going, gets you waking up, that kind of thing. And then the last one, which is really just underlying health conditions. You got things like, pre-diabetes, actual diabetes, it's actual diabetes itself, PCOS, thyroid disorders. All of that can for sure affect blood sugar and result in higher fasting glucose levels. And so I think for me and all the clients that I've worked with, I think one of the biggest things, though, out of all of those seven that we just talked about is stress. And that's the one that I want to talk about here for just a second, and then we'll move on. So, chronically elevated stress can lead to sustained high levels of cortisol in the body, which will disrupt that delicate balance of glucose regulation in the body. Once cortisol is increased, the production of glucose in the liver, um, it will decrease the effectiveness of the insulin, the hormone, obviously that's responsible for, transporting that, glucose into the bloodstream, to the cells for energy itself. And a very simple example, think about this. You're digging a hole, right? You have a regular size shovel, and then someone comes and brings a truckload full of dirt and starts to fill that hole in at the same time that you're, digging it out, right? Um, I then take your regular size shovel and give you a hand shovel and say, carry on, keep going. This is essentially what happens when you're stressed. The stress is causing the liver to dump more glucose into the bloodstream, and it also will lower the effectiveness of the insulin that would combat the extra glucose in the bloodstream, but it can't do it. That's why I'm saying you started off with whatever, with a regular size shovel. That's your insulin response, and now I give you a small shovel, and that's all that your body can handle because the allocated or the more the stress that caused the liver to dump more of that glucose into the bloodstream. So there's more glucose in the bloodstream, but the insulin that's coming out of the pancreas cannot keep up. So it's just more and more and more and more, and eventually that hole that you're digging is now a mountain because you just can't keep up with it, and you have a ton of extra dirt, a ton of extra glucose in your bloodstream. Um, and then again, that chronic stressors, if it's just like that all day, every day, all day, every day, that's obviously not healthy for us. Um, and then if you think about this as well too, during times of high stress, what do you guys now? Maybe not you two, but what do people normally do when they're stressed? They're more inclined to reach for comfort foods, right? High in sugar, high in carbs. Oh, I'm so stressed today. Let me go eat a bowl of cereal. Let me grab this, piece of chocolate, right? Which again will lead to rapid spikes and crashes of your blood sugar levels. And then again, that chronic stress will disrupt your, sleep pattern and hinder your body's ability to recover because you guys know you don't get better in the gym, you get better at home or recovering, sleeping, things like that. Um, so there's a couple ways that you can handle this. Obviously, get your diet under control. Get your stress under control. If everything is in line and things just aren't moving the way that you want them to be, a couple of very simple things that you can do to help get them down. Number one is implement some berberine. Typically, it's like 1,500 milligrams spread out over the course of a day. Berberine almost mimics metformin. So again, it's not a prescription, but it mimics what a prescription drug would do. And then like I've even had people add in, like cinnamon into their daily drinks. I think Dave is doing that now too. And then even NAC. I can't think of the actual name for the NAC, but I got a client Stewart as well too, and we were kind of playing around with that, and he noticed if he took two of his NAC pills, and I think they're 600 milligrams a piece. If he took two, his blood sugar in the morning would be in like the 50s, and if he took one, it was in like the 70s. So again, that's not to say that like that's a cure all, right? But it can help because some people are just gonna have elevated fasting blood glucose from a high stressful job. Poor sleep, whether that be, to work, things like that. And again, some things are just out of our control. So we just have to mitigate what we can and just do what we can do. At the end of the day, that's all that we can do. So, um, outside of that, guys, I think that's all that I got for you as far as, this stuff. You guys have any questions on, the fasted blood glucose stuff at all?
I think I do. I will say it was beneficial for you to kind of go over that just because, like, obviously check in for tomorrow. And I've never checked blood glucose before.
Mhm.
It's never anything I've ever done. So the other day, whenever I got the stuff in, I actually just tried it just so I could like practice with it.
Yeah.
And so I ended up doing it, but I didn't end up like wiping the first two drops or anything. But um,
Yep.
I was glad that you kind of went over that.
Yep. And if you don't do that, if you just wake up and drink no water, don't wipe any of the blood off, just wake up, prick the finger, and read it, it's probably going to be 10 to 20 points higher.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I've even had one individual who just had a bad meter, and we was doing everything that we could to figure out what the heck is going on. He went to the doctor, got it checked there, and it was like 30 points lower than
Hmm.
his
Wow.
thing at home. And then so he went and bought another one, and it was like spot on. So it was like, okay,
Huh.
it was it was the meter. But thankfully, it wasn't some health complication. But yeah, it's a great tool to use. I mean, some of the guys, I have some of them during the day check their post preandrial readings as well too, which is like an hour to 2 hours after your last bite of your meal. Essentially, what that's looking at is once you eat your meal, how high is that glucose spiking, and then you check it an hour later. Is it continuing to rise, or has it capped off, and is it coming back down? And so, if you was to do that, over all four meals, and one meal as compared to the other three were spiking way up, we could then know, okay, our next change, we're going to pull something from this meal to help mitigate, that high spike up and down. So, and that's getting like really complicated to it. But that's if we have like a pretty complicated issue, and that has to be done. But typically, just a one time a week is good. So, you got anything, Dave? Are you good?
No, I'm good. Just close the meeting.
Okay,
Oh, you know, good time, so it's all good.
that's all good. Well, cool. Well, cool deal. But yeah, I hope all that stuff made pretty good sense to you guys. I think that's something that a lot of people should be doing. A lot of people don't, but again, I probably got out of the clients that I have probably 20% just leave that blank every week, and it could really help them if they actually did it, which is okay. Some people just don't do it, and again, it's fine. It just helps me have that additional puzzle piece to like, okay, like if this is going wrong, and your fasted, blood glucose is this could be giving us an indication of something else is going wrong, right? But we just gotta, I gotta work what I can work with, and we just go from there. So, um, outside of that, if you guys don't have any other questions, we will wrap it up, and then I will talk to you guys, both of you guys, tomorrow for check-ins. So, all right, well, you guys have a good day, and I'll be talking to y'all soon.
All right. See ya.
Hey, I was going. Hang on.